The ultimate AoE machine, a monster backline DPS, and one of the best crowd control Sigma Chads to have ever existed and never will. Welcome to another segment of PlayPark's Class Spotlight featuring the Force Gunner. A lot of players usually have a Force Gunner for their bounty hunting, but make no mistake, this class can dish out tons of pressure onto enemies and can certainly deal with a lot of monsters in a wide area. They are fast, efficient, and most definitely in demand. But like every other class, there will always be flaws, and FGs have some notable downsides that should not be overlooked. They're soft, requires great itemization, and relies on good positioning or, at the very least, kiting abilities to maximize their efficiency. Let's start with stats. FGs rely on int for damage, but they have certain passives that complement your investments in dex. Ideally, you'd want to place a healthy amount of dex, a lot of points on int, and the bare minimum of strength. Again, make sure you check the stat requirements of the current endgame items to prep yourself once you get a hold of it. Here's a sample stat build that you can start with and is mainly focused on PvE with some decent survivability. Note that nothing is set in stone and you can always experiment to your heart's content. The trademark of the Force Gunner is their capacity to deal tons of damage in a wide area paired with basically the most annoying form of crowd control, hold and stun. It serves as a safety net, as again, you're really soft and it will have a hard time soloing high-end dungeons. So make sure you maximize your crit rate and then focus on crit damage with a slight mix of magic amp. Pumping these stats aren't really a problem though. Why? It's time we head over to passives. Thanks to Sniper Plan, Warfare Matrix, and Target Focus, the raw amount of crit rate and critical damage this class provides is one of the best and won't give you a headache to maximize. From there, you can ease up on your defensive capabilities by taking 6th Sense, Reflex, and Vitality Mastery. Complement your Dex investment with Ice of Mind and pump even more damage with Ruling Force and Force Control. All sub-skills in this class are great. Besides not really having a choice, a lot of what you need is already there. Art of Desperado boosts your offensive capabilities but is a bit situational due to that root. Oh yeah, you get rooted for 7 seconds, which means you can't dash or fade step, so use this skill wisely. Lock-on is a nice debuff for high-priority targets like dungeon bosses or your best friend in college who snuck up on you and stole your girlfriend. Either way, this is one of the skills that makes you valuable in a lot of parties. Next is Inspire and is your only party buff, which is pretty decent. We mean, it's free real estate, take it by all means. Last on the list is Reactive Technique. This is basically your get out of jail for free card. If you know you're about to die in the next 3 seconds, pop this off and experience the feeling of being a tank for a decent amount of time, like 15 seconds. Oh, and remember, this thing has a really long cooldown, so only use it when you really need to. With that being said, let's move on to active skills. For this one, we'll only talk about the notable ones starting with Living Fog. This is one of the 2 trademark gunner skills that you'll get in the early game, but unfortunately, it's highly situational. A great PvP skill nonetheless to take the stragglers out. Under Advanced Expert, we've got Iron Bullet and Lightning Satellite. These 2 skills alone can carry you until you reach Grandmaster. With a cast time of barely within 2 seconds, both skills are the only cycles you need, and a cannon skill for filler if you decide to use combo. Sunset Missiles and Grenade Down are great, but the cast times take a little bit too long, so that's up to you. Buster Bombard is a highly recommended skill to take until you reach Transcender, while Wide Cover Shot will only slow you down with that tiny range. Call Valkyrie is one of your must-have skills, especially during combos, but Mouse Mark II has a slight problem. The range is basically half of Valkyrie, so you might end up closing the gap instead of widening it. Your call. Finally, under Transcender, we've got Revenger, Mechanic Core, and Stormblitz, and all 3 are the only skills you need while AFK farming. No further explanation needed, just get these 3 and enjoy. You might have noticed that most skills have downs and stuns, and that's exactly why Force Gunners are the kings and queens of ranged AoE crowd control. Fortunately, that's not all that this class has to offer. We still have BM3 baby, and boy oh boy, this was just too strong. Pair this up with a bit of vampiric accessories or runes and you'll basically end up zipping around dungeons or chase fleeing enemies. Why, you may ask? Just look at that bonus move speed! Sheesh! So the combos are pretty easy to understand. Allow us to flash it on screen and make some suggestions. Set target lowers enemy defenses and crit damage resistance while removing a chunk of your own HP. Device Tactics, on the other hand, boosts your critical hit capabilities while lowering down your survivability. Force Bullet increases your base damage but lowers HP and MP, and Internal Destruction, damn, that sounds like a legit speed metal band, that greatly increases critical damage and attack for a small price of removing 80 defense. Honestly, Internal Destruction is already great on its own, but pairing it up with Device Tactics isn't too shabby either. Since you already have a high amount of dex, or at least a decent amount of dex, sacrificing a bit of defense won't really hurt in exchange for boosting overall damage. At the end of the day, you always get to decide on how to set up your combos. That's the fun part of this MMORPG: experimentation, discovery, and high numbers. Overall, Force Gunners are a unique class by most MMORPG standards. Their simplicity complements their high efficiency, and with the right gear, works wonders in every situation. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.